Hey, Cats crew. I feel like I'm a little late with this, guys, but happy New Year to everyone. Um, so this is my 2025 year in review, I guess, right? Like every app that we're on has given us the wrapped version of our year. And so I wanted to do the wrapped version of my year. I'll tell you what was really funny though. So y'all know I use Treble. And so Treble gave me the wrapped version of my year. Like, the songs I listen to, of course, Spotify does it, a couple different apps do it. And it also said that I listen to music between like midnight and 6 a.m., which kind of made me chuckle. I was like, you don't need to be in my business like that. But it actually is really true. I listen to music mostly when I go to bed. I usually kind of turn it on and listen to a couple songs before bed. Even when I'm traveling, midnight, wherever I am, I'm pretty much listening to music. So it kind of got me. So that was kind of funny. But listen, guys, I recognize too um, that while 2025 was kind of transformational for me, it was also transformational for a lot of people in other different ways. So I respect the grief that a lot of people are going through, and that um, 2025 may not have been their favorite year. Um, so I do want to start off by saying that to everyone. Um, that I'm very cognizant of that. But I think you guys will like this episode. I talk about my travel, kind of what I learned, and a couple of different initiatives that I'm going into 2026 with. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. Hey guys, and welcome to Cat Explorers. I just listened back to the first kind of segment, as I always do, to make sure things record properly. I got a new mic. I hope you guys can tell. It sounds really crystal clear. I think the other one sounded pretty okay, but this one sounds pretty fantastic. So I'm kind of happy about that. As I said, guys, I know we are like, what, 20 some odd days into the new year. And I'm like, Happy New Year. Here's my 2025 wrapped. But listen, guys, and I hope if you're listening in the States that everybody is safe and warm. I'm down in Houston, and so yeah, we got it today too. And so I figured today might be a good day to tape the podcast episode. I've got nothing to do. Really didn't leave my house today. Kind of stayed wrapped like a burrito. I think I said that on my Facebook page if you guys are following me over there. Um, I'm gonna save the housekeeping for the end, right? Because there's a lot of moving pieces. And so I'll save it for the end. I think it'll make sense to why I'm saving it for the end so I can just say everything at one time. But so my wrapped year in 2025, like I said in the intro part, was pretty transformational. I got to travel abroad for the first time in a couple years. Um, a lot of things really felt like they were kind of settling for the most part in my life in a good way, not settling in a bad way. Um, and 5 weeks abroad kind of teaches you a lot about yourself. I'm 47. I never think I know kind of everything about myself. We're always kind of learning and growing, right? And I had a history teacher in middle school, Miss Pilot. So why do I remember her name? I don't know. But Miss Pilot always said, things that are stagnant are dead. And so you're always growing, you're always learning, you're always ebbing and flowing. And I just think that's the nature of life, right? I do want to circle back just really quickly again. Like, my heart goes out to anybody that just 2025 just wasn't their greatest year. I have friends that dealt with a lot of loss and, just all kinds of unfortunate things. And so, I'm just very mindful of that. While I might have had a kind of nice 2025, I do recognize and understand that some people's 2025 may not have been as nice. So I do want to start with that. Anyway, as I get into the rest of my raps here, So, I spent 5 weeks, guys, 3 weeks in Italy and 2 weeks in Cairo. And so the little meat in the middle of my little 5 week sandwich, my week in Naples. Um, I think you guys heard me talk about, that I was threatened with arrest twice. Um, but before I even go into all of that, I want to say that's the experience of travel, though, right? It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes it's always not, our favorite Instagrammable moment, right? Sometimes it's nasty work, and kind of everything that's going on geopolitically. I mean, it was just an interesting experience. I've traveled abroad a time or three. Um, and typically my experiences have been pleasant, but this time, that particular moment wasn't. And on top of all of that, you also have to be mindful just to not let it, ruin any other experiences you have. I mean, I probably won't ever return to Naples in my whole entire life, but it will not deter me from traveling abroad. It definitely won't deter me from traveling to Italy. Y'all know my soul place is Venice, and so it'll never, stop me from traveling there. And you guys know I'm on a couple different nice people who are from Naples, and they're like, "Oh, you should come visit." And I'm like, "Yeah, no." Like, I just, like, if I'm in Italy, you're gonna have to take the train to like Rome or Venice or Pisa or Florence or something, because it just left a very bad taste in my mouth. And I think everybody can kind of understand that, right? I mean, we've had some things that just, you're like, never ever, never ever. And I'm basically at that place. I don't typically say never ever, but I'm kind of ever for Naples. So the good. The 2 weeks in the 2 weeks in Venice were perfect. Y'all know I am in love with Venice. I'm in love with Carnival. It's such a magical time. And then what's funny is, like, then these other like carnivals that happen in Italy have been popping up. So I think, like, my next time in Italy, I might, like, go check out some of the other carnivals in other cities, but still somehow end up in Venice. Venice isn't just my carnival spot, although I do love carnival. But I love Venice. I've never been to a place where I felt at home, at ease, just everything. Everything's right. I think I told you guys in my love letter to Venice that even when I was sick, it was still great. I just laid in my bed, I opened the windows, and I listened to the bells toll, and I was like, well, dag nabbit, I'm sick in Venice, right? Um, but it just, from the very first time I experienced Venice in 2018, it completely captured my soul. And I'm in a few Facebook groups, and of course, everybody in these groups feel the same way. And so that's how I feel. It was. If I could have stayed a month, I would. I would have. It's probably my next little thing. Is like, I'm gonna stay for like an extended period of time. But it was absolutely fantastic to kind of experience Venice in a sense like a local, because I was there through the week, and it was very empty during the week, and then the weekend came, which meant the tourists came, and so then you have all of that, and so it's like, oh, I see what the locals, feel, because without the people, I mean, Venice is magical. You kind of got the pathways to yourself and the canals and all this kind of stuff, but then I love the tours too, because weirdly I met so many Americans in Venice. It was really very funny. The day I was actually leaving to go to Naples, and I got on the water taxi, the water bus, and it was a lady and her son who were from Louisiana, which is our neighbor to the east, and there's another couple. I think they were from the Carolinas, maybe. Or no, yeah, the Carolinas. The Georgia people I met in Georgia were in Egypt. But yeah, so I met a lot of Americans. Like, just that was that particular day, but like every day that I went down to St. Mark's Piazza to people watch, um, somebody sat next to me. I ended up striking up a conversation with somebody who was from America. So it was really very cool. It was really nice. So yeah, it was just a great experience to just be in the element, not feel rush. I'm all about there's this movement called slow travel. I don't know if you guys have heard it. I believe they have a Facebook page too, and I think it's called not a Facebook page, I'm sorry, an Instagram page, and I believe it's called Slow Travel as well. And I follow them, and I'm really about just not just collecting passport stamps, but collecting experiences and experiencing a world that's very meaningful to me. And that's what I kind of, one of the points I want to kind of get across in this, and my podcast. I mean, we all experience the world differently, right? Some of us are younger than me, and some of us are older than me, and and so there's a couple of younger people that I know, and I follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and of course they're young and they're like 20s, and of course they're all about collecting passport stamps, and I get it. And if I were their age, I'd probably spend a couple days in if I was in a place where I could, get somewhere quickly on a train or something, I'd probably spend a couple days in a couple different countries too. But, it's a kind of older person. And I don't think I'm old, guys. I'm 47, but I just, and I've had a lot of things kind of happen. And so I just, I just want to take it in. There was some days I got up in Venice and just literally just kind of walked around and got lost. And that's easy to do in Venice. If you've been to Venice, you know it. But like I say, you're never really lost. You'll figure it out. You turn yourself around and you'll get back on track and get to where you go. But it was just really nice to like get my, cup of gelato and sit somewhere and watch the kids play and people watch. And there was a time that I wasn't a people watcher. I was that person who was like, if I'm somewhere, I had a whole itinerary of stuff to do, and I'd be tired when I got back from vacation because I was trying to experience it all. And now, I don't have to experience it all. I feel like I'll return to a place if it really speaks to my soul. And again, Venice will be one of those places that I know I'll return to, over and over again. So, but yeah. So we're gonna talk about the ugly. you know, I'm a black woman. We all know this, and I've had my share of racial things in the U.S. And honestly, travel has been a means to escape some of that. Like I said before, usually treated really well abroad, and so that was really the first time that it was not even really, it was the first time I was threatened with arrest, not only once, but twice. And treated in such a horrific fashion. I mean, somebody's listening, probably thinking it's a first world problem, but it was really interesting. And like I said, my B&B owner was like, there's a lot of African immigrants, and so there's the resentment that Italians have toward Africans, but listen to my voice. I don't sound like an African. And I'm not justifying, please don't even misunderstand. I'm not justifying the treatment, but I mean, listening to me speak, I'm American. So all you gotta do is talk to me once and you'll understand that, but again, like I said, with the experience in the restaurant, if you don't have an ass in your seat, pardon my language, your restaurant's gonna close. That's whether it's an Italian person, an African person, an immigrant, or a tourist. And so, to have suffered that experience and that indignity was very eye opening for me abroad, and very scary because, as I said, I something that I never kind of thought about was if I were arrested abroad, because that sounds so really crazy, especially if you know me in real life. Very law abiding. I research the countries before I go there, so I understand the rules and I understand what's expected of me and not expected of me, and those kind of things that'll get you in trouble. And so, literally, I got threatened with arrest just for existing. And again, to experience it with the fare inspector to tell me it's people who look like me that are the problem. Um, yeah, that's my tourism dollars are paying your salary, and that's how you talk to somebody who has opted to spend an entire week in your city. Um, anyway, to the good. Um, whilst, well, as you know, on this trip, I brought some of my dad's ashes with me, and so was able to spread my dad's ashes kind of everywhere that I went. And so um, it was very emotional, y'all. Like, I didn't, sometimes I do things and I just like, oh, this is what I want to do. And this is the way I want, in this particular situation, it was the way I wanted to celebrate him. And in our complicated, relationship. But like I've said before, the last 6 years of his life, we actually were really good, and I miss him. Um, it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Um, I'm just like, we're gonna spread these ashes, and it's gonna be cool. And just about every place I spread his ashes, I found myself kind of shedding a tear. Um, because the truth of the matter is, he would have loved this trip, and he would have loved everything about this trip. Um, And so I was just happy that I remembered because, there have been a few times I've taken like some trips to go see my little niece in Arizona and I was supposed to bring the ashes and I forgot. But the last time I went, I did. And then like when I went to Mexico, I was supposed to bring the ashes and I forgot. And so I made it like a pointed effort, like as I'm packing to make sure like I went and got the ashes and, put them in a little container that I was bringing. And so that was one of the good things. Going to Pompeii was really good, which was the reason that I was in Naples to begin with. But, of course I would have saw some of the city as well. But, actually I was going to stay in Pompeii for a couple days and then I was going to go to Naples for a couple days. But then a friend of mine who's stationed in Naples was like, well, Naples is like 40 minutes from Pompeii, so you should just stay in Naples. So I was like, yeah, because I'm not going to want to drag my suitcase around like all the time. So, it worked out. And the train ride was really nice. Kind of makes me wish like we had like train here to get around a little better. I mean, we have like a very rudimentary type of train system in Houston, but nothing like you see abroad, which I don't even know how Houston can consider itself an international city without a great railway station. But that's another story for another day and for their urban planner to figure out. But it was just really, really nice. I met these three little old ladies, who were very fashionable and they were so cute. And of course I had my translator app and so we were able to communicate and it was just really nice. And seeing Pompeii was amazing because I mean I'm sure I would have found out about Pompeii anyway, but it was also one of the things my dad was really kind of passionate about and always talked about. So it was it was really nice to whew, it was really nice to see it from his perspective. A little pause there, guys. Still kind of rough to talk about, but in a good way, not a bad way. But it was good to kind of to not only to just experience it, but to think about like how my dad would have like when like I said before, like the trips always were like when I got back home, I'd meet up with him, I'd bring him some lunch, and we'd sit and we'd look at the videos or we'd look at the pictures. And so just to imagine like experiencing that with him. Um, and on a side note, a very interesting side note, and I hope my friend listens to this podcast, but I think it also, and don't misunderstand, we were always kind of cool, but I relied on this person a lot as I went through this really emotional journey during these 5 weeks. And I never again would have thought it would have been as emotional as it was. But she was a good resource, a good friend that I could call or leave a voice message about. And even if it was weepy, it kind of incoherent at times, but it for sure it strengthened our relationship, and I'm sure she feels the same way. So I just want to tip of the hat and shout out to her, and she knows who she is. Um, but that really made us, I think it really brought us a lot closer because I remember a conversation she and I had, and she was like, "I hope." Like, you've been such a good friend to me. I hope I'm a good friend to you. And she had been a good friend to me even before that. But even in that moment, like when something kind of crazy or something, especially surrounding my dad, happened, she was like the first person I wanted to call and share that with. So, yeah, thank you, friend. Um, the bad, we talked about the ugly, right? The bad. So there was a there was a small earthquake while I was in Naples, y'all. I'm a Texan. I'm a southerner. I'm used to hurricanes. We get a little snow. We experienced a tornado like last year, which was really weird. I'd never seen that before. That thing did more damage than a hurricane. But an earthquake was a little something different that I did not expect. And so here's what's funny. I think I said this too, so pardon me if I'm repeating myself, but some of you guys might not have listened to the other one, so this might be new information. But at night I woke up, things felt weird, right? Like they had been doing some construction. Like my B&B was downtown, like in the central business district. So they've been doing some construction overnight, which kind of makes sense, right? There's less traffic, all this kind of stuff. So it had been a little noisy like some of the other nights, but this particular night, it felt like rocks were sliding. And there was a weird like felt like somebody was pushing the building, which I know sounds crazy. So just bear with me, right? It just felt like somebody was like slowly rocking the building. And it woke me up. And I remember just kind of laying in bed thinking that's odd. And kind of rolling back over and going back to sleep. And then I wake up the next morning and somebody posted on my Facebook page, like, are you okay? There was like an earthquake in Naples. And I was like, oh, that's what that was. So on top of like everything else with Naples, there's a daggone earthquake that I was able to experience. It's so, it was one of those things where I kind of planned out when I was going, like, it's supposed to rain, like, most of the days, which it did. And so it was like Wednesday was the day that I went to Pompeii, and it was a beautiful day, y'all. It was such an amazing day. And, the place ended up spreading my dad's ashes was like one of the basilicas. It was a church. And it was just really perfect. And it was funny. I told my friend, I said, when I spread his ashes, there was like a breeze that came by. She's like, it was your dad. I said, yeah, I know it was him. But it was a really just a perfect spot. It was a perfect day. It was like no rain. I had like my poncho in my backpack and all this kind of stuff because, I try to be as prepared as possible. And they mentioned rain, but it really didn't. Um, it was a gorgeous day. And so that was Wednesday. So, of course, mom's kind of freaked out, because I told her what happened. That was on the Sunday, the first day I got there, that I was starting with the rest. And then, so she, of course, was like, just be careful, blah, 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 blah. And so the Thursday I got out and they have a castle there. I'm kind of like architecture and all that kind of stuff. So I was trying to go see the castle, but ended up by the waterfront, which was extra perfect because there's also a gelato shop. And so guess what I had? I had some gelato and I sat by the water. And I think I've mentioned this a time or two. And if you know me in real life, the water makes me very happy. I am the calmest when I'm sitting near water. And that's even down in Galveston. And if y'all know about Galveston, then you know about Galveston. Sometimes it's not the bluest and it's not the prettiest, but just listening to the waves crash, makes me happy. So I had this really amazing day. Like I'm down by the water. It kind of rained a little bit, but I'm like, I don't care. It's some water. And it's blue and I see a marina and I take some really cool pictures. And, this is when the second incident happened, and me and this other girl who looks just like me are pulled off the bus, and she's going to get some money, and I'm like trying to plead my case, and I called my B&B owner because the first night, I told her what happened. Like, so when I got up the next morning, she offered to like take me around the city, and I'm like, that's not your job. But she told me to call her, like, if I needed anything, if I'm out and about and something happens, to call her. So I'm trying to get a hold of her. I'm trying to figure it out. So anyway, guys, long story short, they actually gave me a day pass when I bought my bus ticket, but I didn't know that. And so that's what kind of saved your girl from getting arrested. And then the guy's all nice. And he's like, oh, the ironic part about it was where we gotten off the bus was like right where my B&B was. So he was like, so it's like, no, like come talk to my B&B owner. So then he's like, oh, you want me to go talk to her? And so he agrees to go over there. Like after I show him the ticket, he goes over and talks to her and she tells him what happens. And Now, even though he said what he said in pitch perfect English, he's like, oh, it was a translation error. And he gives me a hug. But I'm like, nah, man. So at this point, and I'm trying not to freak out my mom, but I tell her. And then I feel really bad because my mom had a doctor's appointment the next day. And she's like, her blood pressure was high. And I know why it was high. And I just can't imagine like having to experience all that and then having to or like tell my mom how to figure out how to get me out of jail or whatever. But shout out to another friend, and he's probably listening. But he messaged me and he said, give your mom my number so she can call me, if something happens. And I thought that was really sweet. And thank you for that, friend. And so, again, these are people that I'm cool with already, but people have really showed up for me last year in a way that really meant a lot. And some people have actually failed me last year too, and that was unfortunate because those have been people I've known for a very long time. And so, but people will people. That's what all this has taught me is that people will people. The good ones will be the good ones, and the not so good ones will be the not so good ones. So I appreciate the good ones. And we're gonna roll on and talk about Egypt. Egypt's always been on my bucket list. I'm sure Egypt's on a lot of people's bucket list. Um, and I still owe you guys part two, like once the tour starts, and I'll do that too. But Egypt was really cool. Like I said, I think this year I'd planned to go to Egypt anyway, but um I ended up searching like a ticket price from like from Naples to Cairo, and it was like $120 American. And then the tour price dropped. So I was like, you know what? While I'm over there, we're just gonna stay over there. And so it was really cool. And like I told you guys, I met a young man on a streaming app, and he's become like a son to me. And he claimed me first. He called me mom first. So, I planned the trip, and he's really excited. And his family, just during Ramadan, and his family his mother cooks this amazing meal for me. Again, like I said, guys, I need to post that picture. I gotta find it. I've switched phones a couple times, so I'm sure I still have it somewhere. But um, I'm just thinking she's gonna cook me. Because if I invite you to my house for dinner, it's probably piece of meat, a couple sides. But she like spread out. It looked like what would be the equivalent of Christmas dinner, right? And it really meant a lot to me to have met him, period, but to meet him in person, to be introduced to his family. That was really, really nice and meaningful. And I'm going to jump ahead because we're talking about his family, and then to go to an Egyptian wedding. Um, that was really nice too. And to be like the title of mom wasn't just a title and just like, oh, can whatever, but to be like, I need you here to celebrate this with me. Um, and so, I mean, again, it's kind of one of those once in a lifetime things that you don't like whenever. Actually, his sister is getting married on Monday. This is going to drop on Wednesday. So by the time you guys get it, his sister will already have been married. But, and they wanted me to come back for that. So I have a whole little Egyptian family all because of him. And it's been, I think I've known him for probably a little bit over a year now, but it's been one of the more meaningful things that has actually gone on with me. Um, Again, just for somebody like we have different cultures, we have different races. He's learning English. I don't know a bit of Arabic. And we have this bond and this relationship that is probably like, I would imagine most people have with their natural children. As you know, I'm child free. So it's really new to me because he leans on me a lot. Like he likes me just to be around him, to have me, kind of in his path. And his wife told me, she's like, he really loves you. He really adores you. He's really never had anybody support him the way you support him. And, not in a vain way, but I really do hope. that I am beneficial to him in his life in some kind of way. And because it's different, right? Like kids in the States, they get to be adults and they don't want to bother their parents. He's 28 and he's like, we talk every day, like about something or nothing. Just even if it's just a good morning, a good morning, mom, how you doing? Type of stuff. But we talk every day. Um, and so at times I'm just like, I'm like, well, as an American child, at 28, you're not trying to hang out with your parents, but that, and part of it might just be, I'm American, I'm different, and that he just wants to just like soak up knowledge or whatever. It's pretty funny because of course, my mother's met him, and we did a FaceTime with him probably like a couple months ago. I mean, we talk all the time, but I'm saying this like a couple months ago because she made this particular comment, and she was like, "He's so different than when you first met him." She's like, he seems to be a little more confident, a little more self assured, and he is. He really is, and his English is improving. He's just getting better and better and better, and so that has been part of the good. And actually, they're expecting a little boy in June. And so I'm excited about that. And he's like, I can't wait for the baby to meet you. And it's just really nice, guys. And I mean, I just think everything like that we talk about and that I do just really comes full circle because, again, man, that's what this life is about. We are really more alike than we are different. Like, don't fall for the BS that they try to put out there about us. We're really very much alike. I'm sitting in this man's family's home and everybody's talking, right? It's just like, my family at Christmas, except I don't know what they're talking about. They're speaking Arabic, and every once in a while he'll tap me on the shoulder and tell me, what they're saying. So I'm not, lost in the sauce, but it was just like any other family. You know what I mean? Like, if people, one of my friends thought it was kind of weird that, and I said, how? I was like, you know, if you're dating somebody and you marry somebody who has a child from a different relationship, isn't that person your son or your daughter? Like, right? Um, or we have play brothers, play sisters, play mamas, and play aunties and all that kind of stuff. People have been calling me auntie forever. Like, just my brother had a child 4 years ago. That's my biological niece, but people have been adopting me into their families for years. And you wouldn't say that is weird, but it's weird. Why is it weird? Because he's of a different culture? I mean, yeah and no, but it's just really funny because, you couldn't tell him that this little old black lady ain't his mama. And his mom and dad call me sister, so, and they're my brother and sister. And so I just, you know, it's just been one of those just great kind of moments. This is It's kind of one of the things I kind of wanted to say too, as we just talk about traveling. Like, again, I don't hoop on anybody's travel experience. You travel in a way that's meaningful and authentic to you, but, if you're in a situation where you can, try to have lunch with a local, try to meet a local. Um, not usually, the last few trips I've been on have been kind of tours with tour guide, where I did group tours. But even when I was in, like I said, I was in Venice for 2 weeks. I got to be cool with one of the little restaurant owners at the restaurant that I ate at, a couple times while I was there. And they gave me a free dinner the last night there. The guy who ran the souvenir shop that was close by my hotel, we ended up exchanging numbers and we chit chat like every, couple weeks or something. Like, yeah. Like, we're global citizens, right? Like, Cat's crew is a crew of Globetrotters and global citizens. And this is the thing that we do. And so, make some meaningful connections with people. Try to. I'm not saying be pushy and force yourself on people because that's kind of creepy, guys. And Cat's crew ain't creepy. Let's make friends with people all over the world. Let's be very intentional about that, right? So yeah, like I felt like so then of course, right, we get to Egypt, right? On Dad's birthday, we go to the pyramids and the Sphinx, and that was amazing. Which was one of the few times I didn't cry, right? But I left his ashes at the Grand Pyramid and at the Sphinx, and I was just really momentous. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't. I mean, what does everybody talk about when they talk about Egypt, right? They talk about the pyramids and the Sphinx, right? I've heard of the Valley of the Kings. Had not heard of Abu Simbel, y'all. Um, but as I said, I think other thing, I wanted to experience everything, and so I did experience everything, and I don't have any regrets about anything. Mm. And so I was thinking about it as I was preparing for this episode, and I was like, it's kind of like an archaeological tour, right? We did Pompeii. Historically, Venice and Carnival. Then we've got, the Step Pyramid, the Grand Pyramids, the Sphinx, Abu Simbel, Luxor, Valley of the Kings, um, Karnak Temple. Oh my God, I can't even remember, guys. I'm gonna have to write my list down when I do my love letter. My love letter part 2 to Egypt. But oh my God, in the hot air balloon at sunrise over the Nile. Um, was just, I mean, I'm going to say one of my old sayings, and one of my friends, if they're listening, is going to laugh. It was just the bee's knees, guys. And that's why I say it was really transformative for me, because I feel like I checked a lot of things off my joy list. Not a bucket list, guys, because I plan to be around here kicking for a long time, but off my joy list. Um, And I met a lot of cool people while doing it. And I gained a son. And I went to a wedding. And I got to bring my cousin to Egypt, which was cool. And so she got to experience Egypt in a way that was meaningful for her. Um, and, the son got to meet one of his cousins. And so he felt, you know, he's starting to feel like he's a part of my family, and he is. My mother, like I said, my mom talks when we video chat. Mom talks with him, so he knows that part. But and hopefully, in the next couple years, he'll be bringing his child and his wife to America. He can meet the rest of my folks. um so yeah, guys. Oh, this is getting long. I didn't even think it was going to be that long. But one of the other things I like to talk about, and kind of what this year or last year has been like for me, is like living my life authentically, and living out my ancestors' dreams. Um, yeah, I'm quite sure that my ancestors, and I'm not even talking about, you know, the way back ancestors, I'm even talking about like my dad or my grandparents, probably couldn't believe that they would have a child or a grandchild who does what I do, or who is able to do what I do. And so I definitely try to live my life in a way that honors them and honors the people who believed in me when I may or may not have believed in myself. Hell, I haven't always been this person. I've dealt with a lot of loss as well over the last few years. I mean, some people that just have been so freaking instrumental in my life. And yeah, I try to live an honorable life. Not just, I mean, for myself, obviously, but for them as well, even though they're not here. Um, they're not the right notes, right? So not only was this year transformational, I feel like it was also a year of rediscovering myself, right? At times, like, I feel like I'm getting back to the old me, and it feels good and scary at the same time. And I don't run from fear. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a dream so scary. You're like, will this work? I'm actually planning. I want to throw an event in Cairo. And so that's what I'm planning right now. And I know some of y'all are listening to this and you're like, what the what? Um, but yeah, that's what I want to do. And I know it sounds big, and it is big, and it kind of it doesn't frighten me. I don't know what the word is, but um, not even it's daunting, right? I was gonna say not even overwhelming. It's daunting. It's a huge thing to tackle, but I want to tackle it. The cool thing is my son wants to do it with me, so we're kind of in this thing together. He hasn't thrown an event, but he wants to learn from me, and so uh, that's really cool. Um, so we're gonna talk about Cat Crew Cares, right? That's the big initiative thing that I am uh, going to launch, and that I need you guys' help with it because we are global minded people, and we're in this thing together. Or at least I'm gonna say we're in this thing together. Y'all know we in this thing together, right? So, so imagine this, guys. What if a single postcard could change a life? It's not just about the words on the postcard, but it shows that somebody somewhere cares, right? This isn't hypothetical, guys. I've got a friend in another country who has two little girls, and he needs help. But I know a couple different people in some different countries that need help. And so, they're waiting to see how the world shows up for them. Like I said, we're living in some really precarious geopolitical times. Um, but anyway, you were my crew. And I've been thinking about doing a nonprofit, and I think I have it. And it's called Cats Crew Cares. And basically, we're just showing up in a meaningful way, and we are showing people around the world that we care. And so, one of the initiatives that I want to do is called Postcards of Hope. And so, not only is it about giving money, but it's also about sending postcards and just a little kind of reminder that the world cares, right? And so, I need you guys' help. And so, I'm putting together, I think, a Fundly because I set it up wrong on GoFundMe, and I think I'm prohibited from using GoFundMe now to do it unless I try a workaround. But we're not going to talk about that. So it'll be a Fundly account to help start start the foundation, to get the funds to start the foundation of Cat Crew Cares. I need to all the legal stuff, all the 501c3, all of those kind of things. And so this is why I'm leaving the the housekeeping stuff to the end, because what I would tell you is, and of course all the links are in the show notes. There's going to be a bio site. Y'all should. It's on in all the other notes anyway. So I update it regularly, right? It'll have the link to how to give. It has my link to buy me a coffee. It has the link to like purchase merch. Yes, guys, I have merch. I've been working on it. So it'll have the link to do all of that. Now, some of the funds, some of the proceeds from all of those adventures will probably go to helping NGOs in the ground to help support, families in need. And there'll be some local initiatives too. Like I want to help people people, get the fees for their passports and things like that so they can begin to travel and experience travel in a meaningful way, right? So everything's not just abroad. It is some local stuff as well. But as I've always said, even about this podcast, I'm building in the sky, but um, I really have it lined out in a way, and I'm just kind of talking really quickly about it because we're going on 45 minutes, and you guys are troopers for hanging in here this long. And so I really want to help. I have a heart to help people, and I'd been kind of chatting this over with some different people. Um, and even with the help of my chat bot, like it kind of really outlined this in a way that was really meaningful and really authentic to me. And it felt right. It felt like, you know what, that is what I want to do. And I love postcards. So the initiative of Postcards of Hope is just really fantastic because think about it. Like the kid over in Egypt that we're helping not only gets, so monetary assistance, but gets all these postcards from people all over the world with well wishes and things of that sort. And I just think that's a wonderful initiative. So, of course, I always say this. You guys are in no, you're not forced to help, of course. Like, I can't tell you, like, you should give or anything like that, but I would appreciate your support. And I thank you guys, as always, for rocking with me like you do. Thank you for getting my podcast recognized as one of the 2025 fan favorites. Um, I want you guys to listen to all of it, but My Weirdness is Wonderful seems to be the one that's getting the most play, so go listen to that one. It's only like 5 minutes long, but it's a good one. I actually have to go back and re-listen to it. It's actually really good. I have to say, I'm kind of proud of myself for that one. Um, but Yeah, like bookmark the bio site, right, guys? Because that's where I'm going to do all my updating and keeping in touch and all that kind of stuff. Two other quick things that are going on with me before I let you guys go. And again, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope your 2026 is fabulous. And if your 2025 wasn't, I'm praying and hoping and wishing that this year is much, 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 much more better than last. Um, I did get my certification to teach English abroad, so look out for something there. I think I'm gonna start online, but then I'm trying to figure out what countries, what country I might go teach in. Right now, um, Egypt is number one for obvious reasons, and Romania is number two. For what people might not know is some obvious reasons, but it's proximity. It's kind of close to everything. It's really close to, I think it's like a couple hours flight or something from Romania to Venice. So of course I'm loving that. And their schools offer some really good benefits if I were to sign up with a school over there. So, and Egypt as well. Egypt's not too bad, but they're gonna have the new baby, so could probably do a year or so over there with the baby. And the second thing, guys, fingers crossed, wish me well with this one, is I submitted an application to be a speaker at the US Travel Association's conference in August. And so I think I have 6 weeks or so um before I'll hear back from them. But fingers crossed. I'm really excited about, like I said, the path that I'm on. With the rebrand of the website. I mean, with the rebrand of the podcast, kind of just my own initiatives. I'm helping a friend plan a travel expo, which is one of the things I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to plan a conference, and so she trusts me with her vision. And so we've got that going on. Again, the big festival that's kind of going on, or that I'd like to have going on in Egypt. I'd like to, like, 5 years from now, have this crazy, ridiculous festival that I'm telling you guys about, and that's been 5 years strong and consistently growing. Um, I'm just really, if you could hear it in my voice, I am just actually really excited about what's up and coming. So, and I hope you guys stick around and like I said, share with your friends, your enemies, whoever. They all need these laughs over here, guys. And with that, my friends, we're at 50 minutes and I'm gonna let you guys go. But um yeah, be safe out there, guys. If be safe out there anywhere you are, not just if you're in the States, but I know it's a really bad winter storm. And even by the time this drops, it'll still be some wicked wintry weather out there. So everybody be safe. Oh, we got to do our little, our one thing. I like snow. I live in Texas and I'm in South Texas. There's not much snow that we get. So why don't you tag me in your pictures? I want to see your one thing. I want to see some snow. So if you got one of my friends on Facebook, she tagged me in her picture that she posted just randomly today from her front window, and she's got, oh my God, I don't know how many. They probably got a couple feet of snow, and it's a winter wonderland. But as my Canadian friend tells me, it's pretty to look at, but it's not nice. And of course, he makes fun of me because, we don't get it. So I just think it's really beautiful. So hashtag my one thing, spell out one, please. Or you can tag me on Instagram at Where a Cat Walks. And I would love to see your pictures and videos. And with that, guys, enjoy your day and we'll talk soon. Bye now. Oh, and remember, if there's a story to tell, I'm going to tell it. Bye, guys.